On today's Woodcast, the podcast that all people should be watching, today we're going to talk about number one rule in life. Don't get dead.
Don't get dead, yes.
Don't get dead.
That's a good reason.
That's what we're going to talk about. So we're going to save your life today. Here we go. So today we're here with Tony again, and he's the guy to talk to. He has a video about this particular subject on your channel right now that if you guys want to check it out,
Tony's Cool Tools.
Tony's Cool Tools. What is the name of the video?
It's first aid. Do you know? I can't remember the name. It deals with first aid.
Yeah. Well, this is more than first aid. We're going to save your life today. Now, we have some stuff here that was sent to us. Well, I have a kit that was sent to me. We're going to talk about the progression of what to do and how to not die, which is the number one rule. So he's got two kits here. You got a boo-boo kit.
Well, we're going to talk about the difference between like a boo-boo kit and a professional kit that can save your life. Right. And then in between there, all the way in between, we're going to talk about, because there's a variety. These first aid kits are meant to personalize, and when we talk about the first aid, we're talking, you have to think about what are you doing. Cuts, scrapes, bites, and bruises is what we're looking at. You know, what is that? And we're also going to be focusing on what our channel, a lot of it, and that's in the woodyard, or chainsaw,
axes, cutting tools,
exactly,
logs, crushing, smashing, basically carnage on your body. That we're going to talk about preventing it first of all, and then we're going to talk about these kits. Now you got a boo-boo kit here. Then
I do.
Then
and
you got another kit.
This I keep in the car. These two pieces I keep in the car.
And I was just sent this kit to me by the Refuge Medical Training Company. This is going to be.
I wish I had that kit.
This is nice. We're going to get to this at the end, but we're going to start with the basics and then work our way up. So tell me what you got.
Well, I started a kit, just a small kit for the car. This has antiseptic wipes or alcohol wipes, bandages, some tape here, just incidentals. But in addition to, I just bought this case here, and what I carry in it, as I had talked about on many of my videos, because we're in a very tick-infested area, all my first aid kits have tick twisters, and they're basically these little tools here, very inexpensive, $5 for these, and they can remove a tick safely and easily. So that's one of the things. For me, I always carry Benadryl because I have some allergies, and if I have the wrong food, this will save my life instead of getting into anaphylactic shock. Or I have baby Benadryl, the liquid kind, which works real good. And just since this is for my car, earplugs here, a knife. You might think this is a Leatherman, but it's a Gerber knife.
And another smaller version.
A smaller version here.
And these, everybody should have one of these in their personal. I bought these for my kids a couple Christmases ago, and they're like, "Why are you giving us a multi-tool?" Because you're going to need it someday. And to this day, they've said, "I've used that quite a few times."
And the nice thing about these too is that a lot of these are one-handed operation. Right. So these just you press in and they open up real easily.
Right. So you got a pliers, a cutter, you got a knife,
9 different tools here, screwdriver, punch.
Everybody should, I think, but it should be a law. Everybody carries one of those. But there's a knife in there, and that'd be dangerous for people.
That is true.
They might stab someone.
That's true. And I have some antiseptic wipe here, some of the rinse or hand wash here, a couple of knives, fire.
You got matches in them later.
Matches, yeah. So this is the kit that I carry in my car.
Yep. So, good to have. And a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this, I got to get myself a little box like this to keep, because I've got some on my dash, some on the door, some on the other door, some on the center console. Well, I should put it together.
A little story here. We were working at a friend of ours' property. We were cutting some trees. Chris nicked his hand after he sharpened his chainsaw, and it was bleeding. I mean, it was just bleeding all over. It was ridiculous. You thought it was his mud.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
I thought it was my time of month.
Yeah, I thought
it happened.
Anyways, we're both looking in. For some reason, I don't know why I didn't have my kit. what ended up happening, we had to find something, duct tape, and I forget what,
I had a piece of I had a napkin I wrapped around.
And we
some
couldn't
duct
even
tape,
find a
and then I
napkin.
stuffed it into my glove and it held it, but it stopped it. So,
yeah. But any of that, you don't want to improvise. You want to have something that's specific.
Right. And it's not a matter of if you get hurt; it's for when you get hurt.
It's when, yeah.
There always will be somebody that will get hurt.
Or you're going to smash something dealing with trees. You're going to cut yourself on your chainsaw. It's just stuff like that.
Right, and I get told by the safety police, as a lot of people like to call them, like, you should do this, you should do that, you shouldn't do this, you should do that. Well, in a perfect world, no one would get hurt. But we don't live in a perfect world, and I don't live in my basement wrapped in bubble wrap. I go do stuff.
Yep.
And all of you, and you're the same way, you're going to do some stuff that's dangerous, and there's not much more dangerous things besides driving a vehicle, is like number one, and then going into the woods and then cutting heavy objects that can fall to earth with a sharp object that's running wide open that you could literally kill people with. I mean, it's not really something to mess around with, and we should be prepared.
Well, that's it. I've taken several first aid classes, and the one thing is, if you don't use it, you lose it. So even though you think you have muscle memory, you got to play with this stuff to make it work right.
And one of the things we talked about a little bit when we were kind of planning this was that you really shouldn't cut alone. You really should have someone
That's the number one rule that they tell you in chainsaw classes.
Yeah, you should have someone around. And I know when I cut with my brothers or with you, it's just nice because have someone there to watch your back, have someone there to help you, even if you just get your saw pinched in a log.
That's it. You pinch a log, right?
I was waiting for that one. If you get pinched or something, just to have someone to help you out a little bit to make it safer. If you get a tree that falls in a bad place, someone to maybe help you pull it out. When a tree is leaning, you get something bad happening. It's just good to work together.
It's never good to cut alone, that's for sure. But we all do it.
Yep.
In the training classes, they tell you not to cut 30 feet away from the next person that's cutting. How many times have we seen people right next to each other? Or the thing that I cringe about is when somebody's holding a piece of wood.
And they're cutting right here.
And they're cutting right next to it.
Yeah, it's like, I've seen that lots of times.
I just, that scares the heck out of me.
Yeah. When I film, like my brother Ken, when he's cutting, I've cut enough to know where not to be, but I still have had accidents where I've been cutting. I'm watching the screen, and I get the camera on a stick, and I'm 6-7 feet away, and I'm filming. I'm watching what he's doing, and I'm not paying attention what's up above. And I've had branches come down and get me, and I wear a helmet and face shield, and I wear all the safety stuff while he's cutting. But yeah, it's not a safe place to be.
No, definitely.
So from this kit,
anyways,
what do you have?
From this kit here, and I had, in the video that I did, I had several different kits. One for my pole barn, because even though I'm 100 feet away from my house, I want to be able to have everything right there, because minutes count, or seconds actually count.
Yeah, seconds.
So but the kit in the pole barn is a little bit more. If you have a headache, if you have Tums, if you have upset stomach, stuff like that.
So one thing we should mention before we go any further on all of the how to stop from dying, from not getting dead. Let's just mention first, let's talk about the things that should happen before this even happens. PPE.
No doubt about it, yeah. It's a choice. PPE is a choice, and you're not less manly if you're wearing chaps or you put glasses. I mean, we've all seen people. No glasses, no hearing, no chaps or whatever. I get it. You don't want. It's uncomfortable. It's hot. We've heard all the stories, but as we pointed out in a previous video, there's 30,000, between 28 and 30,000 chainsaw accidents a year, and of those 30%, or of the 30,000, one cut from a chainsaw is an average of 110 stitches.
Right.
That's a heck of a lot.
Was it 70% of the injuries in the lower part?
40% of the injuries are in the lower extremities, the thighs, legs, and foot or whatever, and then 30 to 35% of them are from the neck to the waist. Your arms, your.
When you say neck to the chest with chainsaw, it's like,
Yep.
That's not good.
Well, think about it. A kickback, how many people have hit themselves in the head?
Which is why I won't cut with a chainsaw without a brake on it.
Right.
A safety brake. It's there for a reason.
Fortunately, the newer saws, they have
And
it
I know
on
the old saws are cool and everything, and guys are in love with them, but same as a vehicle. I'm not going to ride in an old vehicle without a seatbelt, and a lot of them don't have them, or you can't find them. That's why I don't ride motorcycles. There's no seatbelt.
Well, Betty Lou, I don't know about seatbelts with Betty Lou, but anyways.
So yeah, safety. I'm not part of the safety first crowd, because if it was safety first, you'd never leave your house.
Right.
You have to do things within reason, and at least take some steps to minimize the problems that could come up.
Absolutely. You
Before they
can
come
mitigate a lot of the situations.
Right, we were talking. I've been wearing chaps now, cutting pretty much almost forever. The first few times I cut, I didn't wear chaps because my dad didn't have chaps, my brother didn't have chaps. We just would cut. But probably 5 years ago, I was cutting brush, and I had the saw down low, and I was swinging back and forth, and I hit something, and the saw went through real easy. I hit my leg so hard, I had a bruise with the saw running, and the chaps were on, and it stopped the saw instantly. And I hit one other time. It wasn't like a big punch, but it was like, ooh, I hit my leg. Both of those times I would have been cut, one pretty severe. And we both know people that have cut themselves on the legs or hands, whatever. I know 2 guys that were cutting and they got themselves to the hospital, but almost died.
Well, I had told you that the doctor friend of mine in northern Wisconsin, the 2 biggest things that he said brought people to the ER was, one was fishing hooks embedded in their body somewhere, and the second was chainsaws.
Yeah.
So it's a common denominator all the way around.
Would you rather get hooked by a fishing lure or cut with a chainsaw? I'll take the hook.
Yeah, I'll take the hook. I'll take the hook. Yep, no doubt about it.
So yeah, safety is important, and I wear. I've talked about this lots of times. I wear earplugs. I wear ear muffs with the helmet, with the face shield. I wear gloves even if it's hot out, because your hands can easily get damaged real easily. I wear safety shoes and my chaps all the time when I'm cutting.
Well, to mitigate a lot of these situations, everything has gotten better. They have Kevlar in the pants. They have the gloves now that have the Kevlar right in them. So they may not stop it, but it'll slow it down.
Oh yeah.
You know. So there are things out there that will help us out without a doubt. But you have to choose to want to wear them or get them.
Right. Well,
they're not expensive, and I don't know what the stats are on what an injury is, how many thousands of dollars.
Well, that's my friend Adam. Whenever he wants to buy something that's safety related, he asks his wife, like, "Do you really need it?" And he says, "Is there a price on what's safety worth?" And it's priceless. She says it's priceless. So he has no problem spending money on. He's got a new pair of pants he just bought that were $300 or $400. They're really nice pants, but they're chainsaw pants, but they're jeans.
Really?
Yeah, and they were pretty pricey, and it was a lot of money to spend on a pair of jeans, but they're cut-proof chainsaw pants, but they look like jeans. And then there's the arborist pants you can wear that are comfortable. So there's no reason. There's plenty of products out there that you can wear to be safe, because like we were talking on a previous video, one serious cut with a chainsaw or an axe or a cutting tool in the woods, wherever it happens, time in the ER, time away from work, the lost time for there, the money you're going to pay for your hospital bills, whatever that is, you're talking usually thousands of dollars, hundreds of hours. Buy the safety equipment and wear it.
Well, I think we were talking 73% of the 30,000 accidents, chainsaw accidents, could be avoided.
Yeah, that's a bunch.
By just wearing chaps. Yeah. 73%,
just
they
chaps,
said.
Yeah.
Just chaps. Forget about any other safety, just chaps.
Right.
And it's unbelievable.
So what else do we have to look at? What else
couple
do you have?
of
What have
things
you added to your kit?
Not necessarily. I do have it in this kit too. A good set of tweezers. Now this particular brand is called Tweezman.
Tweezer man.
Tweezer man.
Yeah.
They're extremely, extremely pointy. And what reason do we have them? We're dealing with wood all the time, and you can get the slivers out, which are uncomfortable, especially if you start in the morning and you get slivers in. These can take them out easily. So that's one thing. The other thing is, because of allergies, like my daughter is very allergic to bee stings, and I know you were mentioning even if you get stung 10 or 15 times by yellow jackets or hornets, this is an EpiPen. But if you don't want to go ahead and buy an EpiPen, you can carry some Benadryl. Liquid Benadryl is also, it'll help out.
And you might say, well, I'm tough. I've been stung lots of times.
Yeah.
Well, I've been stung lots of times too. I swell up like a pumpkin. I am allergic. And if I get stung more than 3 or 4 times, kind of in the same area, I got stung when I was a kid. I got stung by the eye and then on the head and down by my neck. And I almost died. I almost suffocated. I started to have my throat close up, and they said, yeah, you're allergic.
It's quick, yeah.
And now that I'm an adult, I've been stung several times at once, and it's never that bad. But if I was to ever, get stung like we were talking about, working out in the woods, if you come across a hornet's nest and you can't get out of there because you're tangled up in brush and you're cutting, and you get nailed a dozen times, 2 dozen times, 3 dozen times, they can kill you.
Yeah.
Even if you're not allergic,
Yep.
they can kill you. So,
and that's why, once again, I carry these things right here.
Benadryl, yeah.
Very quick. But the liquid Benadryl really works fast. The baby Benadryl works really fast. Put it underneath your tongue, hold it in under there for about a minute or whatever. It works really good.
No, I don't know the specific numbers, but I remember somebody talking about the most dangerous animal in the woods, and it is bees.
Really?
Hornets, yeah. You're more likely to die from hornet stings than snake bites, ticks, tornadoes. They named all the different things that bees are like the worst. It kills the most people.
Well, is it bees or is it hornets?
Hornets.
Yeah, because everyone gives the bees a bad rap. My buddy's there, but it's usually the other stinging.
Yellow jackets, yeah. And the worst ones are the bald-faced hornets.
Right. Because they will sting you multiple times.
Yeah, and the whole tribe will come and get you.
Yeah.
I've been stung by them, I know.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that's basically on the boo-boo kits or kits that you can build yourself. Get a kit and be very careful when you go online. The one thing you don't want to do is go somewhere and find something that says 300 pieces for a real cheap price. 80% of it is going to be different size bandages.
Little Band-Aids.
Yeah, and each one of those is counted. So you think, oh, I'm getting a lot. No. But buy yourself a good kit, and we'll show you some kits here. But buy yourself a good kit and then enhance it. Add an EpiPen. Add tick tweezers or the tick tweezers. Add the very pointy tweezers here. So you can enhance it and make it good. And one other thing about any kit I'm talking about, just because you buy the kit, don't just buy it and put it away and never look at it. Pull it out every so often and take a look at the stuff that's inside. There are expiration dates on some of this stuff, whether it be aspirin or Benadryl or anything else, and the efficacy of them goes down year over year. So you want to make a...
And on top of that, too, I would say, that way you're going to be familiar with where it is, how it works, where it's in the kit, how to get to it, how to put it back together. Kind of like organizing your tackle box. You got to know where your stuff is.
That's exactly it, yeah. Because you can have it, but it's useless if you don't know how to use it or where it is.
Right, and to that point too, you might know it,
right.
The people you're with might not know. So make sure your kids, your wife, your dog, your cat, whoever you got along, friends, buddies, let them know you've got it where it is. Just say, I have a kit, here it is, it's right here. If I'm starting to die, this is the kit.
Yeah, there you go. In other words, you want them to save you.
Well, yeah, that's really what's going to happen. Most of the time, you're not going to treat yourself.
Yeah,
you're not.
That's it.
It's going to be someone else. So
family or friends.
Yeah, I know a guy. His friends always call him the Boy Scout because he literally has a tote. He goes everywhere with it. It's in his car at all times. We went to a buddy's cabin. This was 10 years or so ago, and he had his tote there, and it said right on there, travel kit, and it had everything you could think of in there. I mean, he had batteries. I mean, he had, a small radio for, if the power goes out, so he can listen to the weather report. He has everything. So we call him the Boy Scout because
I love it.
He is prepared.
I love that.
So what's next?
Okay, well, we'll go from the boo-boo kit here to a specialized kind of kit. This is what I carry when I do chainsaw, and I'll be honest and forthcoming here, I don't always carry it or haven't always carried it. But lately, I've heard so many stories that I'm going to try to make this a smaller kit and carry it on the strap of my chaps.
And you're saying that in Europe, that's kind of like a requirement.
Well, in Europe, they have, I'm not saying it's a requirement. In Europe, I'm sure if we check the stats, there are far less injuries there for a couple of reasons. One, they have certification for chainsaw. If you want to buy a chainsaw or if you want to cut with a chainsaw, you have to be certified. I think it's a good idea, but that's only me.
That's a good idea.
I think you should learn how to.
But this is America.
This is America. I understand.
Freedom.
Agreed. Yep.
You're free to hurt yourself.
That's exactly it. But anyways, that being said, this is my chainsaw kit. And the thing I'm most fearful of is cutting myself with the chainsaw. Because I know no matter how small it is, it's going to be expensive. It maybe put me out of commission for a long time.
That's the thing I fear the most. Getting hurt to me is not the biggest deal. It's not being able to do anything.
Right.
Or just being able to heal for a month or whatever it takes. That's what bothers me. I don't want to be down. I can't stand sitting more than 10 minutes.
I know. I know.
So what's in there?
So, first thing is, let's assume you do cut yourself with your chainsaw. You have to assess the cut first. Is it a superficial cut, or did you nick yourself? Are you just bleeding? Or the next worst thing is, are you pumping out? Because if you should hit an artery, like a femoral artery or something, within 90 seconds you're going to be bleeding out. So you have to act fast, and you have to try to catch the wound, or you got to stop the bleeding. A lot of times it's just pressure. So the first thing is they have this is called quick clot combat gauze. Try to say that 4 times.
Quick clot combat gauze.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Anyways, this is a pad or a gauze that's impregnated with a product called Quick Clot, and that's just a brand. They make other kind, and I forget what the term is, hemorrhagic or something like that. But anyways, this pad here, you will stuff the wound with it. It comes apart. It's like a perforated sheet, and you can just pack the.
Right. What's unfortunate is that to know how it works and to try it, you got to ruin it.
That's it.
So you really need a couple of them.
Well, here's the thing. This one here, these are the expensive ones because it has the Quick Clot in it. They do make these pads that are just it's like 1/10 of the cost. It could be $5 for the gauze, the standard gauze, and this one's like $30.
No kidding.
Yeah. They do make the powdered Quick Clot that you saw on TV, the guy shooting, and they pour it down. Well, the problem there too is they found that, especially in combat situations, if you get wind or the helicopter comes in and you get rotor wash or whatever, it blows all that stuff out. The worst thing there is you're not getting all of it in the wound, and the other thing, if you get it in your eyes, it's not a good thing.
Ooh.
So that's it. So gauze, in addition to this, after you pack the wound, you use a compression bandage, also known as an Israeli bandage. And it's basically a stretch bandage that has this pillow in the front of it that absorbs the blood, and also you can compress it with the sleeve here. So after you pack it, you take your compression bandage, wrap it around your leg, arm, or whatever is bleeding. And this is good for the areas that you might not be able to get a tourniquet underneath your armpit or in your inner thigh. You can't stop the bleeding. This is what you want, an Israeli bandage and the packing material. Now let's say, God forbid, you hit an artery and you're spurting the blood out. You have to stop that.
And you have seconds, not minutes.
You have seconds, correct. So you want to get a tourniquet. And Chris was talking and he said, well, why don't I just pull my belt out here? And that's a great idea. A lot of times when you have an accident like this, it's a stressful situation. You're not thinking clearly. So if you do have something, and people say, well, I have a tourniquet. Well, do you know how to use it? I bought one, but do you know how to? That's it. Where is it? Do you know how to use it? And there's all different types of tourniquets. And I'll give you a couple examples here. I've had this one for about 7 or 8 years in my kit, and I thought when I bought this was the best one on the market. Everyone thought it was number one. It's called the RAT, the Rapid Application Tourniquet. And it's nothing more than a bungee cord with this hoop here, or this harness, and you just, once you wrap it around your wound, you use these harnesses here to hold that in. Well, what they found was that even though it was good, it wasn't very good. So they came out with a new version, and it's called the SOF, the SOF, which is Special Operations Forces. This one here, if you can think of what you have for your luggage rack, it just opens up here, and there's this little clamp in the back, and you just tighten it up. But this one here, you almost have to have 2 hands. You could probably get away with doing it one-handed, but it's difficult. And it does have a windlass here to tighten it up. We'll show you that in a moment, and then clamp it on right there. So this was the SOF. Then they came out with what now is the industry standard, and it's called a CAT, a C-A-T, a Combat Application Tourniquet. And this one here is a one-handed, super simple to use. We'll show you how how we can put it on our bodies very, very quickly. So that's another one. The last one that is out there is called the SWAT tourniquet. And this one here is like a little pad that you can wrap around. I would probably not use this as my primary. I would use the this one as my primary, but if I was using the padding and the gauze, I'd probably add this on top of it, this tourniquet right here. But like they say, as far as tourniquets are concerned, 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is 2. Let's assume you have a tourniquet on. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to stop the bleeding. So having a secondary, regardless, even though this one might not be a good tourniquet, a second tourniquet to have is better than nothing. And like you said, using a belt where you don't have any kind of a windlass on there to...
Well, I was in Boy Scouts, they showed us how to use rope in your belt and all that stuff, and then how to put a stick into it and then twist it.
You got to think, you cut yourself.
I know.
Where are you going to get a
stick?
stick?
We're talking about, I'm in the woods.
Yeah, but you've got to find, a right one.
Well, the thing is, all of this comes down to your mind.
Muscle memory.
Well, that, and you cannot panic.
That's
you have to just jump right into it. And I told Tony a story. This happened to me. I was deer hunting with one of my old best friends, way before you. So it was
before me.
Before you. You replaced him. No, he's still a good guy. He's a buddy of mine, and we were deer hunting up in the Boundary Waters, and he fell out of a tree the day before season and had a compound fracture on his lower leg. And it was not good. It was bad. I mean,
compound. Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. He fell, and his shin halfway down the leg broke, and then it drove down into his heel and it drove right down in through and smashed it, and it was in hundreds of pieces. And when he fell, I saw him right after he fell. He fell like 9 feet. Was all, oh, he's no big deal. He said, I think I broke my leg. I go over there, and I said, you're fine. I went, and he said, well, my leg is broken. I went, and I picked his leg up, and if this was his shin and his foot's right here, it just went like that. So, I mean, there was nothing there. Yeah, so it's funny now, but it wasn't then. It's still not funny to him. Well, so right away, first instinct was, and we were 10 miles off the road to the closest road. We had canoed across the lake, across the portage, across another lake, and we were back in the woods. And yeah, so we had to act fast. And he almost died. It was bad. So
you look at that, and you were talking. You say, okay, I could take my T-shirt off, and I can pack the wound. And if you have duct tape, you can wrap it around it. Sounds real good.
Well, he wasn't bleeding real bad. He was bleeding, but not bad. Not to the point you needed a tourniquet. But I splinted it right away so that it is immobile. And I had to go out of the woods, paddle across the lake, get to our camp. Luckily, we had a cell phone. And I called, and they thought they could just drive over and pick us up, and we were way back in. So he fell at like 3 in the afternoon. They flew him out at 1 a.m. and he was in
Wow.
shock, and his body temperature was down to 93 or 4 degrees. It was because he was laying on the ground because I had to go. I built the fire, and anyway, it's a big long story. He almost lost his leg. He almost died. All kinds of stuff happened, but it can happen.
Yep, you are right. Anything could happen at any time.
Yeah, I mean, you never plan for accidents, but they do happen. And like I said, when my buddy fell, they flew him out in a helicopter, and I didn't see him again for 3 days. I was alone in the woods, and I had to come out, and they almost had to amputate his leg. He was in shock. He had everything was bad, and it was. They said if it would have been a little longer, he might not have made it. So.
Well, in the video that I did, I pointed it out. If you live in a metropolitan area, you're only minutes away from immediate care or an ambulance. But like me, where I live in the sticks, I have to be prepared for anything.
Right. When
So-
you do, and if you're traveling in a vehicle, that's, there's, was it 45,000 people in the United States are killed in car
Right.
accidents a year? That's why having a kit in your car makes the most sense, because you're in the car, that's where the most danger happens. So always be ready. And the one thing we didn't talk about, after talking about all wearing the safety gear and having all these kits, what's the number one thing we didn't mention?
You got it.
Phone. Have your phone on you.
Number one.
Number one. And the first thing you should do is call, because you might pass out. You might not be able to talk. And when you do call 911, don't turn your phone off. Just
Right.
leave it on. You can give instructions. You can yell, talk, whatever it is. Leave your phone on. If you got the ability to put it on speaker, put it on speaker. But at least call, get help on the way, so that if you don't make it out of the woods or off wherever it is, help's coming, because they will be able to do more for you than you can do by yourself.
Or talk you through something.
Or talk you through it, right, exactly. But you should do that first. And like
Good
you say,
point.
the first thing is to assess the extent of the injury. If it's really bad, yeah, you got to probably plug the hole.
Yeah.
So there's that. So what's next?
Well, we finished these kits here, so let's go on to something that's a little bit more advanced that you got. Before we even go there, this is a beautiful, beautiful kit here. I'm jealous that you got this, you know.
Yeah, they got a hold of me. It was probably 2 months ago now, but I've been so busy, and I told them I'm going to make a special video about it, and I still want to do another video about it. But Tony recently did a first aid video on his channel. We're talking, and he said, yeah, there's this company, Bear something or other kit, and I said, I think I've got that.
And then when he showed it to me, I said, I couldn't believe it.
That's it. So yeah, this company reached out to me. It's a U.S. company, and they supply medical kits to the U.S. military. And they sent me this little
How many
information.
branches did you say that they?
This kit is deployed in 4 continents. Not 4 countries, 4 continents right now. 5 branches of the United States Armed Forces. To date, and this letter is from a couple months ago, this kit has for sure saved 50 lives that they know of.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So right now it's for everything from automobile accidents to actual wars, and it's designed to save lives pretty much wherever. Everything's laid out in a prioritized system as far as how to get to it. But unless you look at it and go through it, you don't know it's there.
Yeah, just having this will do you nothing.
Right, and this company sent me this, and here's what's in here, the contents. There's a Generation 7 cat tourniquet, hemostatic gauze, traumatic shears, chest seals, a 2-pack, how do you say that? Something airway thing.
Pharyngeal.
Okay, that word. 6-inch trauma dressing, burn dressings, abdominal pads, 3 of those, rectangular bandages, compressed gauze, survival blanket, more gauze, rolled gauze, eye shield, iPad gauze, flat duct tape, medical tape, permanent marker, gloves, and antiseptic towelettes. That's what's in here. So a lot of stuff. The manufacturer suggested price on this kit is $269, but I think you can get this for less than $200.
Wow.
I remembered right when I looked it up. I'm not positive. This is the company. It's Refuge.
They're very well known in the emergency industry for medical kits. The people that have gone gone through it. And like I say, the different types of tourniquets that I've shown, they've gone through all these. And the first one that they had in there was the CAT, the Combat Application Tourniquet.
So like we were talking, you made your own.
I made,
kits up.
kind of a little.
And
this one
and
here.
you can do that if you know what to look for and what to get.
Well, you can cheat and try to go
My
over.
way of thinking is just get the kit.
It's ready. It's even as cheap as you are. I think you'd break your communion money or your confirmation money to buy something like this.
I have to go back to baptism.
Oh God! All right.
So what's inside?
The nice thing I like about this kit is super easy to deploy. You just grab it here, pull the inside sleeve out.
How do you do that?
Everything is ready right here. You've got your tourniquet right here, your compression bandages here. All the other stuff is in a sealed container
says
right
trauma
here.
kit, so you know it's
it
right
says
there.
trauma kit right here.
What's this under here?
It's a patch.
Quick Clot.
The Quick Clot that I was talking about. And the nice thing about these too is, and this might be a very little thing, but I'll tell you, it's annoying. These little cuts on either end of it, you can rip these off easily as opposed to trying to bite them off or trying to find a knife to whatever. So
if you had one hand, though, you could grab it here and just.
that's exactly it. So all this stuff inside here.
There's hemostatic dressing.
Yeah, that's the same one that I had, the combat dressing, same one here, only made by Quick Clot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, that's a brand. But everything else is very well laid out here. And they do make replacement so that if you do use this up, yes, you can go buy it. But if you don't want to buy a ton of these things here, you can just get a replacement kit here, and it fits. You know that when you get it, it'll fit right back inside and easily deployable.
And everything else is in there.
Everything is in there. And like I said, you have your rubber gloves here, you have your CAT tourniquet right here. So everything, your tape. They've designed a nice case here that has these molly straps or whatever they call them.
One of the things you mentioned was this marker that's in there. The marker's on there so that you can write on when the tourniquet was deployed, correct?
Correct. And that's one thing that we're going to show here.
And you're supposed to write right on the person, aren't you?
Well, actually, you can write it right on your skin. Let's assume that you cut, and we'll show this here in a second. I happen to go ahead and put a marker on here just so I have it. This little white strip we'll show you in a moment. When you go over, it says time on here. The reason for that is if you go to the emergency room and they say, how long has your tourniquet been on? It's, I don't know, 10, 20. You're confused anyways. You're in a stressful situation. Or, God forbid, you faint and somebody finds you. They know how long that tourniquet has been on you. So that's that.
So another thing we talked about with this kit, you get this nice all-inclusive kit here, and you've got it in your car, but where in your car is it?
Well,
You don't want to put it up on the dash where it's getting baked, because your tape is going to turn to goo. You're going to want to put it in a place somewhere, like maybe in the trunk, somewhere under a seat, but where you know that it is, and so you can get
glove compartment if it's large enough. I know, like in our minivan, that would fit in the minivan. Underneath your seat, there's usually room underneath your seat. That's where I carry my kit, is underneath the driver's seat.
Right.
So, but yeah, having everyone know where this is.
Right.
But
And if everybody had kits like this and carried them, you'd save a lot of lives.
Knowing just a little bit about first aid, yes, you could save a lot
Well,
more.
and again, I go back to the whole thing that, from my experience, from having to treat people that have been hurt, immediate action, staying calm, staying focused. And when that happened, when my buddy fell out of the tree, I don't know how to describe it, but for those of you that work in trauma, you probably have this happen because you do it all the time. A switch went off on me just like that. I focused on, what do I got to do? What's the most important thing? First thing I did was I got him comfortable. I got him warm because it was raining and snowing at the same time. It was the fall of the year. He landed in the swamp, so he's laying in water. So I got a fire going right away. I mobilized his leg. I got him comfortable. I gave him all the food and drink that I had, and I beelined it to get out of there to make the phone call to get the rescue squad to come in. That took a long time to get to us. But yeah, you just focus on the task at hand and you just do it. And
some people can.
And other people, I know I've been told, where they just start crying and panic and don't know what to do. But I don't know. It just must be either you have it or you don't. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not bragging. I just I just knew It was me and him. At the time, I probably weighed 170 pounds. He's 240. We're dressed in winter clothes with boots. We were across a swamp that we were walking in knee-deep water. How would I have gotten him out of there? And there's no way I would have got him out of there by myself. There's no way.
Well, the other thing you have to contend with, and the folks out there, the EMTs and the fire rescue people know, shock is another one.
Yeah, he had everything. Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, yeah. When I went back to the tent to get because that was back before I had a pocket cell phone. We had a bag phone. That's what we had with us. That was 20 years ago now.
Jeez.
And I made
old?
I'm that old. I made the call, and then I took the phone with me back to him, and I got a whole bunch of stuff, food and some drink and whatever I could think of. I took a sleeping bag and I beelined it back in there, and he thought I was gone for hours, and I literally was gone maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Wow.
He had passed out, and he had his knife out, and we were in northern Minnesota. He thought wolves, because wolves were howling around us, he thought the wolves were going to attack him.
It's possible.
He was panicking. He was getting delusional, and I had to take the knife away from him, and it was, well, I tell you all kinds of stuff. It was, I will never forget it.
Wow. Well, once again, with these, going back to what we were saying, for us, chainsaw related on this, if we ever have to use the tourniquet here, the easy way, now naturally it doesn't come with a pen and a rubber band, but this is the way I store it.
Yeah, well, you want to store it so that
it's very simple.
What I like about yours is that it's nice and bright. You're going to see.
That's the reason. They come in multiple colors. You can get this in, for combat situation and tactical situation, they want black. For me, I wanted the most high-vis that I can get, and this was the orange one. But with this, the easy way to deploy it, I'll show you one-handed operation, even if you don't use the pen. Now this is folded in a certain fashion, and they'll show you in the instructions, and the reason is you want it easily deployable. So all you do is it's ready to go now. This little red part here, I keep that down like that, so that if I want to deploy this one-handed, all I do is put it on, bring it up.
You better injure your left arm, not your right arm.
I know. I just tighten it up. The Velcro now underneath it here.
And then
take the windlass here and turn it. And now this is going to be extremely uncomfortable and very painful, let me tell you, because I practiced with this.
Oh.
And you turn this around.
Does it fit in your neck?
What's that? You're so funny. There.
Oh yeah, and you tuck it in.
There.
Got it.
Now it's on. I take this over.
Can I already feel your pressure?
Yeah, if I had an oximeter on here, or whatever, the pulse meter, you can tell it's throbbing. I would take this now, look at this, and write 230 on here.
Right.
And that is, let me tell you, that's hurting. That's hurting a lot.
That's cool.
Thank you.
I would have volunteered, but I'm glad I didn't now. So there you go. So this kit, you can buy it online. I don't even have a link. Maybe I can find one and put it on there, but there's other companies. It is made in the USA. They got the flag on it.
That is the nice thing, yes.
Yeah, you know it's good stuff. And like Tony was saying earlier, that you can buy kits that have 300 pieces, but like you say, you're going to get 99% of it's going to be junk. This is what you really need. The fact the military is using this kit is huge, because that means they probably had to go through a lot of trial and error, and they probably had to make sure it was exactly what they wanted. And then this just fits back in here, so it's got a nice case to it.
Yeah, a lot of times when you take a lot of these out, it doesn't want to go back in, but this one does go in reasonably easily yet. But there are a number of companies out there. This Refuge happens to be one of the premier companies out there. I have in the video that I had, I show a kit that we had bought a few years back that's extremely comprehensive. It's made for large families, preppers, people that are going out off-grid and need every kind of sutures and everything necessary for country
Right. Well,
country.
this is basically to keep you from getting dead.
Correct.
The other stuff is to fix you.
Right.
The main thing is don't get dead.
That's
the main
positive thing.
That's
Yes.
the main thing.
Yep.
And if you don't carry this kind of stuff, I sure hope the people you know do when you're with them, and someone can come to your aid that will be there. The problem in our society is we're so dependent on other people now for everything. It's like, well, I'm hungry. Well, in 5 minutes we went and got a burger.
Yep.
You know, I'm thirsty. You walk to the refrigerator, it's there. I mean, everything you can want is always around you at all times. This is different.
Yeah, that is
This is
true.
not like this is here all the time. You think, oh, someone's gonna rescue me. Not necessarily. Sometimes
Well,
you gotta take care of yourself.
The other thing, when you go looking for this, they may refer to this as IFAC or MyFAC. No, I'm not swearing at you. IFAC is individual first aid kit, or MyFAC is my first aid kit.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, get a kit, learn it, learn how to use it, take a class, whatever you can do.
Yep. Because
Hopefully, the little bit we did, maybe somebody will not die.
this may save your life, but more so, it can save either your family or your friends' lives.
Friends aren't that big a deal.
That's true. You can always, like me, you can always find another best friend.
There's always some guy walking down the road. I can pick up.
Exactly.
So, there you go. Anything else to add to it today?
I can't think of anything. I think we've covered quite a bit.
There you go. So on the next time we get together and do a podcast, or the Woodcast, as I think I'm going to call it.
Oh, that sounds like a
Call
good
it the
name.
Woodcast. I think we're going to talk about tractors.
What kind of tractors?
All kinds of tractors.
All kinds of tractors. I like that idea.
All right. So that's it for today, folks. Tomorrow, I'll have another video. Tony's got videos every week. Go to his channel. It's called Tony's Cool Tools. He does really good stuff. Check him out. And we'll be back in a week with another video.
Good night, Irene.